All right, this is a pretty interesting situation right here. Their Dolphins are kind of set up in this two deep shell look. All right, you could kind of see it right here. Right, ball is on the right hash. I'm going to clean this up for a second here so I can show you some of the shape. And what Lamar Jackson's probably reading right here, since he has his 11 personnel grouping right here, and he has two receivers to the play side. He has two stacked to the field side. Rules over here are going to be kind of simple. You're going to call for switch releases. The farthest man to the outside, which is Jalen Ramsey, has to call it. So he's going to tell Kohu who he's taking. This is the one, and this is the two. This is easily communicated, and this safety should be holding this hash, right? So that's what's presented pre-snap. What's going to happen post-snap is that they're playing some type of under coverage, right? And they're going to rotate into cover three while taking everything underneath, including Deshaun Elliott, who's going to fire out to the flat to take the tight end. Had the tight end carried him up the field, Deshaun Elliott would have kept the integrity of what looks like quarters. There's a lot of writing, I know. Okay. But you're going to see it, and I'm going to pause it when you have the switch post snap. And they kind of give it up early, and Lamar Jackson kind of sees it right here. He's staring right at him, if you can see. There's the run action, and we're stopping it. And as you can see, they've already bounced into cover three. Right? They have everybody underneath. It's a three-man rush. And Bradley Chubb is essentially playing like spy or contain for the flat. While Deshaun Elliott already fired for the flat for likely. And they got one free man, which should be coming on the blitz because he has no other responsibility but contain. Okay? So the contain is, and we're going to clean it up so you can see it here. Chubb. It's this outside man right here. And you have the flat. And this is cover three. Now, what are the rules on cover three? Well, it's pretty simple. Since you're trying to keep this integrity right here, okay, you essentially sometimes, for the most part, you want to play middle of the field open, right? And you have to make sure you keep the integrity of the coverage by staying outside of the numbers and holding this leverage, okay? Outside of the numbers, holding this leverage while your safety drops to the deep middle. And everybody who was underneath is carrying their man downfield. Right? What you cannot do is start peeking or driving on any intermediate routes with any of the guys that are forming the formation. Anybody who's holding the integrity of the coverage, meaning Xavier Howard, Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey. None of these guys can peek or drive on everything inside. Why? Because you're giving too much room for the safety to cover. So who's at fault here that, and by the way, it was incomplete, but who's at fault here that a completion is almost had? Well, Xavier Howard is caught staring at this, what looks like a sluggo, which is kind of simple route for cover three. And he's driving on it, baiting for a pick, hunting an interception, and Lamar Jackson delivers it. Incomplete. Bad mistake by Xavier Howard. All right, this might be the same. Maybe they were playing the same rules and they were going to get out of this, but it's essentially the same alignment. The only thing, the Ravens are in a different formation here. Okay. As you can see, they have ace twins. Patrick Ricard, extra tight end. Kolar, I believe that is. And they have 2, 1. Okay. Or 1, 2. However you want to call it. Okay. Running back is near. And the Dolphins have some type of two deep shell, right? But you can see how this can easily turn into some type of flood concept. But you do have this ace formation, okay? Right here, ace twins. So ace twins is always going to be called a little bit differently, especially on the play side, because this could be a leverage run. So you got to keep the integrity and your shape of your alignment. So this is really, really important. So you're always going to shade on a 3-tech. You got to have a 3-tech no matter what on this side of the ball. Teams are very weary about this ace twins formation for a toss, maybe even quarterback power. Okay, so this is something that's very well designed by Todd Monken, and I'm going to clean all of this up because I'm going to show you what the Dolphins' dilemma is right here at the snap, and I'm just going to draw it up pre-snap so you can see what's going to happen because there really is nothing else to it. They keep 6 in to block 4. But I want you to see the arm talent that it takes to complete this pass. He gets perfect pass pro on this play, Lamar Jackson does. But the Dolphins are in essentially quarters. And the problem with playing quarters in this regard, and we're going to clean this up because I'm going to stop it as I'm playing it. We're playing it. And I'm going to stop it. As you see, you have ace twins. You're going to keep the integrity. All right, now it's pass. To keep one guy in, and I'm going to stop it. Okay. What you have here is you see them. They're playing their quarters coverage. All right. And what you have here is you're keeping your shape and your integrity of your quarters coverage. Kohu has to get the outside of the numbers. You can see it right here. And Ramsey's playing with the proper leverage. But what has to happen and what must happen against something like this, it's a 2-man release, and they don't know if anybody else is coming backside. And I guess that's the worry. It is an undercover coverage. Some people will call it cover 6, 2-man under. Here are the 2 men. Okay, so they get anybody who releases out into either flat. Okay. What you must do is you got to squeeze this quarters coverage, meaning you're moving over one zone. Ramsey to the hash, Holland to the other hash, deep middle, and you got to carry this receiver the whole way. Now, it's not ideal how the Dolphins play this coverage, but what is ideal is this throw by Lamar Jackson. That takes arm talent. Look at this deep out. It's a great adjustment for Zay Flowers, flattening out that route, getting out wide, giving his quarterback a target to throw to. And you could almost see it right there. That's 10, that's 20. It's 32 air yards on that throw. That is high-level quarterback play by Lamar Jackson. Whoever told you he can't pass or he can't do quarterbacky things, show him this play. Or just call that person an idiot. I want you to watch what happens here, and I'm just going to draw it up very quickly. They're going to bring a guy out across the formation. It's going to cause like a switch release. And Holland is going to come down, and you could see that it's now his responsibility to call it. Okay, so he has to call simple numbers. You're talking 2, 1, 2 closer to the formation, 1 farthest to the outside, which means he calls out a number, and you're essentially just taking your man. Okay, and you're gonna have to take a man to man, especially to the field side. It's not ideal, but it is what it is, especially since they're stretching you thin. Now, they kind of have this well covered, except for the one instance right here on this switch release. And we're going to show it to you so you can see it. Let me run it. And I'm running it frame for frame so you could see it. Like right here, you can see. You see where Javon Holland's hand is? That's a hand signal. Now, what does it look like when he's giving this hand signal? It's looking like he has the 2, and Ramsey's going to stay with his outside leverage on the 1, right? That's what it looks like. What happens? Because you can see it right here. This is the moment of the truth. Ball's on the way. See the ball's right there? What happens? Holland leaves Ramsey completely out to dry to take the flat player and allows all of this space. Lamar Jackson identifies it, makes the completion to Bateman. And it's a crucial first down. And the drive is extended. And it's all due to terrible communication by Javon Holland, completely hanging out Jalen Ramsey to dry. Here comes another wheel route, huh? Yeah. So, Dolphins are in some type of cover 1 man, okay? And that's not what's important. What's important is the technique that they're going to defend a wheel route. Now, usually, and we're going to run it a little bit so we could see where the moment of the truth is, okay? Like, here's motion. It's confirmed man. Duke Riley wants to take away the flat. We're going to stop it, okay? Because here's the moment of truth. In fact, we're gonna let Justice Hill get a little bit more. There he is. Perfect. Okay, what do you have on this side? Well, you have your deep safety, Deshaun Elliott, right? And he's going to hug this hatch because that's where the ball was snapped from. So you have 1, 2 defenders, 1, 2 pass receivers. Now, Dolphins do teach it this way. They teach to trail on rail or wheel route, whatever you want to call it, okay? And we're carrying guys up the field no matter what, right? There's another way to defend this, which is an adjustment that you can make when teams try to isolate linebackers on wheel routes, and that's to not play it to trail and instead play it to the flat. Now, what's the problem here? Okay, if you play it to the flat, or if you switch this, okay, you can switch it, although there's an issue leverage-wise, okay, because you can't squeeze the numbers with 2 players. Like, you just can't. It's just not possible, okay? So there's one way you can play it. You can play it for the flat, which means you're going to go over, or you can trail, which is what he did, and they exploited, and they knew that they were going to get from the rules on cover 1 and the way the Dolphins play their linebackers out to the flat on wheels or rail routes. Now, what is key here, okay, and I haven't seen many people talk about this, okay, is the positioning from Eli Apple. Okay, if he has perfect inside leverage, okay, and remember this is a middle of the field open defense, okay, although it is man, they are going to play with that leverage, and you can see how the players are playing. Okay, they're playing with that leverage, right? If he is on the outside of the numbers, this play is easily covered on a switch because it's going to be natural to defend it this way, and Deshaun Elliott's going to fill right at the numbers, right? But what instead happens is that Duke Riley is going to follow with his trail technique, And you have this natural rub that you're going to get right here. It's almost impossible. Okay, so what's the only adjustment you could do for this is, well, you're expecting something like this, so you're either going to switch everything on this side on the switch release, or you're going to play it over and you're going to play for the flat. Now, what's the drawbacks to that? Well, what's the drawback to that is if he runs flare out, which he did not, he's running an in, so he could be running a flat route. That's going to give you some room, but there's room right here. It sticks all the way at the 10-yard line, okay? So you got some room, and if you got some room, especially to the boundary, you got to think about what you have. And what you have is 1, 2 tacklers, and the sideline against 1 blocker, 1 ball carrier. That's if they're running a flat route, which is what you're essentially giving up if you come over the coverage. Instead, from the rail, you play him the trail, and Lamar's going to take this wheel route. And your safety better be flying off of this hash to close that out, because there's not many linebackers that can run with a running back like Justice Hill. And Duke Riley is absolutely not one of those. It's a good throw by Lamar Jackson. Great play design. Touchdown. Ravens like this Ace Twins formation, and I told you earlier how much they like to run out of it. They're running another one of these leverage runs on Miami. And I'm going to show you how successful this play. Well, it was a successful run, and it was against Miami's 50 front or under front. And I'm going to show you why it was successful. We're going to run it, and then we're going to see it from the end zone view. Pretty successful play. Nice little 9-yard gain right there. I want to show you the run fits and where they're supposed to come. And we're going to stop it right at the point of the snap. So what are we seeing here? Well, we're seeing Raekwon Davis take on a double team, right? And you can see the flow of this play. Now, he has to play for the cutback, right? But he's just going to try to string this down, right? And you're going to try to get leverage on either side. Now, the contains over here. David Long has to be very, very careful for this cutback, so he's going to work parallel down the line. He's actually the scrape on here, on this play, while Duke Riley is the fill. And Bradley Chubb just has to contain the backside, right? Now, Christian Wilkins is going to want to read both gaps, but he has to be on this outside shoulder because he might have to set the edge if Andrew Van Ginkel gets wiped out. As it stands, Andrew Van Ginkel's taking on a double team, as you would against Ace Twins. And here is your force player. So, what is lost here? What is lost here is that Duke Riley is actually flowing to fill very, very well. But he has to be mindful of the leverage gained by Christian Wilkins. Okay? He knows he has backside support from his other linebacker, from his scrape. So he should be reading this B gap above all else. So does he press? No, you don't want to get caught into the wash, but you got to be decisive. And if you're going to be decisive, what you can't do is flow with the play and then shoot a gap. Because running backs in this league are pretty good at cutting back inside of you. So he has to be decisive. At this point right here of this play, he's either shooting A or he's shooting B. Now, choose wisely. He shot A, guy went B. He chose poorly. 9-yard gain. Dolphins, once again, in this 2 deep shell look. And it does look like quarters again. Pre-snap. But they're going to move into some type of 3 deep cover 3. And we're going to run it. And we're going to run it really, really slow. Because remember, they're bringing Zay Flowers into the play. From the field side into the play side in motion. It's going to widen the defense. It's going to force them into their cover 3. It's going to force them to show their cover 3. I want you to watch what Duke Riley's doing. It's essentially that same coverage that they were kept playing, which is like a cover 6, 2 men under, although they're moving post snap into a cover 3. The problem here lies in Duke Riley doesn't either know the rules of this defense or is essentially calling it. But talk about hanging somebody like Eli Apple out to dry. It looks like he's supposed to take him up the field. And I'll tell you where it kind of makes sense that is his assignment. It's right here. We're going to go pre-snap. Ball is play side. What are the rules and I think I've talked about this on many film studies this season. When you play cover 6, 2 man under, what are the rules on the play side safety? Play side safety has to get deep. Has the man over the top while the corner carries him to the intermediate. While the field side corner has to carry him all the way into the end zone. Okay? Now, why is that? Well, it's by the virtue of having so much space to cover, right? So that's the easy part. Now, the hard part comes here. The Ravens are going to use Miami's own medicine against them, and we are going to stop it right here. What has happened at the snap? Here's the run action. Very well executed, by the way, and they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocking plus the back who could stay in. That's 7. So 3 release out into the route. This is a shot play. Design shot play. Dolphins have the numbers to cover it. They're coming in. They're coming out of their 2 deep shell or cover 6 into a cover 3 or a box 6. So it's not about really calling the coverage out here. It's about keeping the integrity of the coverage. And once Duke Riley comes across the numbers, usually somebody like Eli Apple, who is the farthest boundary corner, is going to either drive the inside route or just completely bail. Or he could possibly even roll up in the short zone. But what happens here, and I understand a lot of people have talked about, and this is just beautiful quarterbacking by Lamar Jackson. He's dropping back left-handed, and it's getting safeties to start moving his way. And once he drops left-handed, he's giving this view to the field side. It looks like he's going to set up to the field side, and he's going to whip around and throw play side deep to Zay Flowers. So what does Duke Riley do? He spooks Eli Apple into thinking he has to switch. And that hesitation, see, as Eli Apple comes off of his mark to take this route, allows Zay Flowers deep. He gets his hands up. He knows he is essentially gone. And look at this. Deshaun Elliott in proper leverage, and proper leverage. Complete middle of the field open, and they're allowing Zay Flowers deep. What caused that? Well, what caused that was Duke Riley running into Eli Apple's zone, getting him to think he was supposed to take the intermediate route. So he got off of his mark, and now it's just pitch and catch as Deshaun Elliott is completely out of position. It's a good throw, and now it's about getting in the end zone here. Ball's caught near the 20. He still made 2 guys miss from the 20 and got 20 yards of yak for that touchdown when The play should have not happened at all, because Duke Riley should not have come into Eli Apple's zone. He should have not been carrying that guy out to the boundary unless it was his man. And as it turns out, and as he later found out, it was his assignment. He abandoned it, went to the inside man, gave up the leverage on the outside on Zay Flowers, who got out the widest. And the Ravens used our own medicine against us.